Hi everyone, hope you're doing good. Now recently I've been talking a lot about Metallica, so for this video I thought I'd do something a little bit different and talk about their old friends, Megadeth. More specifically, their album Youthanasia. I've wanted to talk about this album ever since I started YouTube, and I never got an opportunity to do this video until now. Um, I really don't think that this album gets enough praise. Some people even miss this album out, which I don't understand. So in this video, I'm gonna try my hardest to defend this album and hopefully persuade you to give it a try. Now, if you're new and you like the content that I've been making, please consider subscribing and checking out the playlist of other content. Thanks to everyone who's already subscribed and for watching and for commenting. It's really much appreciated. Now, let's get into this. So to start off with, we're going to just go through a few facts and some information about the album. So it's the 6th album by Megadeth, released through Capitol Records on November the 1st, 1994. It was the 3rd album with the classic Megadeth lineup, with Dave Mustaine on vocals and guitar, Dave Ellison on bass and backing vocals, Marty Friedman on lead guitar, and the late Nick Menza on drums. It was produced by Max Norman and Dave Mustaine. The title of the album and the artwork implies that society is euthanizing its youth. After the success of Countdown to Extinction, the band wanted to push further down the commercial route with this album. At the time, conflicts had started erupting in the band, and after this, the band became a democracy, and all the songs were written by all the band members. The album was written and recorded in Phoenix, Arizona, instead of LA, as most of the band was living in Arizona at the time. Their previous albums they'd done in LA. They built a new studio in a warehouse due to them not being able to stay in one place. That was funded by Capitol Records, the producer Max, and the band. They wanted the album to be one of the first recorded solely on hard drives rather than a magnetic tape, but they had some issues with the technology, so they had to use magnetic tapes in the end. The songs were all recorded in one take, with all the members playing at the same time in that one recording studio, which is really rare because usually they all do it individually. The leads and the vocals were recorded afterwards. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling 143,000 copies in the first week, which is unbelievable. It was the second time the band had an album in the top 5 of the Billboard, with Countdown to Extinction being at number 2. Now we're going to move on to the musical style of the album. It's a very different album compared to what came before. There's no real thrash in it or anything like that. The album's more of a traditional metal and hard rock vibe. There are some slight alternative radio rock things in there, but it's not as apparent as on Cryptic Writings and Risk that came after. Certainly the seed was sprung on this album though, but mainly it's just a hard rock and traditional heavy metal album. Vocally, Mustaine goes for a grunge-esque sort of style, very reminiscent of Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, and I think he pulls it off pretty well. He also come up with some really great riffs and some really cool melodies, some really great songs really on this album. Marty's guitar playing is always, as always, absolutely brilliant, absolutely superb. Some really cool melodic style solos, even experimenting with some wah pedal solos. and stuff like that. And yeah, he has a massive contribution on this album. Dave Ellison's bass tone on this is great, and some of the things he does in the backing vocals is really cool. Like Addicted to Chaos, he just goes addicted a few times, and I think that adds something really cool to the track. Nick Menzer's drumming, again, as always, brilliant. You know, he just keeps everything ticking, keeps everything going, and he has some moments where he has some times where he shines as well in the album. Now we're gonna just quickly go through the track listing on here. Reckoning Day, really cool song, really great opener. Train of Consequences, that's one of my favourites, I love that song. Addicted to Chaos, another great song. Tout le Monde, a ballad, really awesome ballad. They still play it live today. Elysian Fields, probably the weakest song on the album, but still a really cool song. The Killing Road, that's an excellent song, some really awesome riffs and brilliant guitar solo from Marty Friedman. Blood of Heroes, another really cool one, nice acoustic start, and then it goes into the riff, and it's really great. Family Tree is really cool, like that one. Youthanasia, the title track's really cool, really heavy. I Thought I Knew It All, and that's another brilliant song. Some really cool riffs, another great solo from Friedman on that. Black Curtain's really cool, heavy riff, with some really cool stuff in that. And then Victory, the last song's really cool, sort of a bit more of a fun song. It's a bit like an Easter egg song because there's lots of mentions of old Megadeth songs in the lyrics, which I thought was a really cool touch. And yeah, this album's just brilliant. I'll show you the inside of it quickly there. I love the artwork. That artwork's brilliant. I love it. Now to sum up with this album, I know it isn't in the top 5 Megadeth albums, but it's still a great solid album. Brilliant album for what it is. You know, you have to take it as it is. There isn't really much wrong with it. I know they've done better than this, but they've also done worse. Cryptic Writings. Risk. Sorry. But yeah, if you listen to it for what it is, and you sort of drop the Megadeth name, you would say it's a pretty cool rock, heavy metal album. Sort of really cool hard rock, heavy metal album. Which is exactly what it is, really. I think if you're going into this blind, just don't think about it being a Megadeth album, and I think you'll really enjoy it. If you like hard rock and you like heavy metal, you'll like this album for sure. Personally, I think it's one of the most underrated. I think it's the most underrated Megadeth album of all time, and also I think it might be one of the most underrated albums just ever in rock and in metal music. This is almost like my guilty pleasure album. I absolutely love it. Ever since the first time I heard it, I've absolutely loved it. The idea of people missing this album out because it's not thrash is absolutely ridiculous to me. I mean, when people go through the Megadeth discography, they usually go from Countdown to Extinction straight to United Abominations or Endgame, or even maybe the new one, Dystopia. But some people even miss out Countdown to Extinction, which is absolutely mad to me, because that album's really good. But honestly, they should give this album a go. You know, people should listen to this album. They should at least give it a try. I can understand people missing out Cryptic Writings and Risk because they're not very good. But leaving this out is just mad to me. It's just blasphemy for me. Some great stuff on here, some great songs, great riffs, brilliant guitar solos. The whole album's just fantastic and really consistent. There isn't a bad song on it. I know it isn't thrash. That's probably why people don't like it or they don't want to give it a chance. But it's just really cool rock and heavy metal music, and there's nothing wrong with that, is there? If you've never heard this album, I implore you to give it a go, give it a listen. with an open mind, see what you think to it. Also, check out the making of documentary. You can find it on YouTube. It's somewhere. It's only about 40 minutes long. That's really interesting. If you've heard this album and you didn't like it, please give it another chance, as it definitely deserves it. I don't think, just don't think of it sounding like Cryptic Writings, because it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's way better than that. It sounds more like Countdown to Extinction more than Cryptic Writings. There are little bits in there, but you know, it's way better than that. It's way better than that. This is almost like the transitional album to that. But you know, it still has that heaviness that Cryptic didn't have. You know, it's still got that. Yeah, it still has that heaviness, which makes it a really cool banging album for me. And obviously, lastly, if you're like me and you do like this album, good on you. So that is my video trying to defend this album. Let me know what you think of this album, and let me know if I managed to change your opinion on this album or not, because you know, I can't force you to like this album. If you do, great. If you don't, fair enough. I think you're missing out on a good album though, personally. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun to make. All feedback and comments are much appreciated. And until the next one, keep it metal.